A thin line of pale blue appears at the edge of the horizon. For a moment, nothing moves. Then, a pair of eyes opens. No sound, no alarm, no signal, just awareness, returning, as if it had never fully left. Most people imagine ancient humans waking the way we do now, slowly, reluctantly, dragged out of sleep by necessity. That's not what happened. They didn't wake up because something told them to wake up. They woke up because on some level they never truly stopped being awake. In the modern world, sleep is treated like a shutdown, a temporary disappearance, lights off, mind off, body off. But for most of human history, sleep was not an escape. It was a negotiation. 10,000 years ago, in a clearing at the edge of a forest, a small group lies around fading embers. The fire is no longer roaring, just breathing, softly, in pulses of orange and ash. The air is cold. The darkness is not empty. It is listening. Somewhere beyond the trees, something moves. Not loudly, not carelessly, just enough. And in the center of the group, someone shifts. Not awake, not asleep, something in between. Most people assume early humans relied on the sun, that they simply woke at sunrise like plants turning toward light. But that explanation is incomplete because the sun is predictable. The world they lived in was not. Predators do not follow schedules. Storms do not wait for morning. Rival groups do not announce themselves at dawn. If early humans depended only on daylight to wake up, they would have died quickly. So something else had to exist, something more precise, more sensitive, more internal. Modern neuroscience has a word for it: circadian rhythm, a biological clock embedded deep within the brain, regulating sleep and wake cycles based on light, temperature, and hormonal shifts. But this explanation, while accurate, is deceptively clean. It suggests a system that is stable, reliable, predictable. Ancient environments were none of those things. In controlled laboratory conditions, humans fall into consistent sleep cycles. But when researchers removed artificial light, noise, and structured schedules, placing participants in environments closer to those of early humans, something strange began to happen. Sleep fractured, not into chaos, but into segments. People didn't sleep for 8 uninterrupted hours. They slept in intervals, 2, 3, sometimes 4 distinct phases. Between them, they woke up, not fully, but enough to be aware, to listen, to check the world, then return to sleep. This wasn't a malfunction, it was a feature. For ancient humans, waking up in the middle of the night was not a problem to solve. It was a survival mechanism, a built-in surveillance system, a quiet agreement between the body and the environment. I will rest, but I will not disappear. Most people think waking up requires a trigger. A sound, a vibration, a disruption, but the human brain doesn't work that way. It doesn't wait passively for something to happen. It predicts, constantly. Even in deep sleep, parts of the brain remain active, monitoring patterns, filtering sounds, evaluating threats. A branch snapping, footsteps too close, breathing that doesn't belong. These signals don't need to be loud. They just need to be wrong. And when something feels wrong, you wake up. Not because you chose to, but because something older than choice made the decision for you. There is evidence that certain sounds, particularly human voices or sudden environmental changes, can penetrate sleep far more effectively than others. The brain, even unconscious, prioritizes meaning over volume. It is not listening for noise. It is listening for significance. This changes everything because it means ancient humans weren't waiting for the morning. They were constantly sampling reality, even in darkness, even in stillness. And then there's the body itself. Temperature drops at night. Hormones shift. Melatonin rises, then falls. Cortisol begins to increase before waking, preparing the body silently for consciousness. But in ancient environments, these signals were not isolated. They were entangled with the world, the cold before dawn, the subtle change in air, the faint increase in light long before sunrise, the quiet patterns of birds, insects, wind. These weren't background details. They were information, and the human body learned to read them. Most people believe waking up is a moment, a clear boundary between sleep and awareness. But in natural conditions, waking is a gradient, a slow emergence, a re-entry. Ancient humans didn't wake up at a specific time. They surfaced gradually as the world shifted around them. Sometimes it was light, sometimes it was temperature, sometimes it was hunger, sometimes it was danger, and sometimes it was nothing obvious at all, which raises a more unsettling question. If no alarm existed and no single trigger was required, then what exactly decides the moment you wake up? The answer is not simple, because it isn't one thing. It's a convergence, a quiet alignment between internal rhythms and external reality. When enough variables shift, consciousness returns. But this system comes with a cost. It requires sensitivity, constant low-level awareness, a brain that never fully relaxes. And this is where the modern world becomes unnatural. Today, we force sleep into rigid blocks. We silence the environment. We eliminate darkness. We override internal signals with artificial ones. And then, we outsource waking up to machines. The alarm clock doesn't gently align with your biology. It interrupts it. Violently, a sudden sound cutting through sleep, regardless of where you are in your cycle, regardless of what your body is doing, regardless of what your mind is processing. It works, but it isn't natural. Ancient humans didn't need alarms because their lives didn't allow disconnection. They lived inside their environment, not separate from it. Their sleep was lighter but smarter. Their waking was earlier but quieter. Their awareness never fully turned off, and somewhere in that difference, something was lost, because modern sleep feels deeper, but also more fragile, more dependent, more artificial. We sleep harder, but wake up worse. There is a peculiar moment just before an alarm goes off, when the body wakes up on its own, seconds before the sound, as if it knew. Most people ignore this, treat it as coincidence, but it happens too often, too precisely. The body keeps time, even now, even after everything, which means the ancient system never disappeared. It was just buried under noise, under light, under routine. And occasionally, it breaks through. A sudden awakening in the middle of the night. No reason, no sound, just awareness. A feeling that something changed, even when nothing did. Most people roll over and go back to sleep. They dismiss it. But that moment is a remnant, a fragment of a time when waking up wasn't scheduled, it was necessary. And maybe the more uncomfortable realization is this. You are still that organism, still running those systems, still scanning the darkness, even in a locked room, even in a quiet house, even in a world that no longer requires it, because for most of human history, falling asleep didn't mean you were safe. It meant you were vulnerable, and somewhere, deep beneath the routines and the alarms and the artificial light, your brain still knows that. It never forgot. It just learned to stay quiet about it.